Oof. It is hot. I have every fan going here in the house of sewing, and I also have a heavy echo. I hope everybody's having a beautiful Saturday night. Let's go sewing.
It's Resurrection Friday, kicking the ballistics on WIMN. Yo, I got a phone call by y'all. She wants to hold cake. I said, hold up. Yo, they did trying to get money here. WIMN, Taylor Soul, Saturday, y'all.
Girl meets boy on Thursday night. Boy was high, girl fly like kite. They hold hands until next day. Boy then let's go hit his way. Boy rolls blunt back to his boys. Erection brings bad boy joys. Boy thinks of that big fat back. Big black fat, love big black fat. Girl calls boy to stand him up on Saturday. Saturday, Saturday, it's a Saturday, it's a Saturday, it's a Saturday. Saturday, it's a Saturday. Saturday, it's a Saturday.
Back once more with the wallop in the score. Sponsored by the riff shit to make you rock your hip. Revival of the roller boogie in the rickin' shit to make you think about the time we spoke fun instead of fight. But diving from a piece of metal shoulda yo, slip your butt to the fix of this mix. Toss that briefcase, it's time to let loose. Cause you work like heck to get the weekend check. So unfasten that sleeper on your neck. Connected like a vibe from the wheel to the foot. Come on everybody, get the funky output.
5 days you work, one whole day to play. Come on everybody, wear your roller skates today. It's Saturday, 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 it's Saturday, Saturday, it's Saturday, Saturday, it's Saturday,
Now as you pump your fists, I reminisce to a bounce rock skate roll fest to impress. Hey pretty diamond, do you like the way I'm dressed? Cool, keep the faith and be my mate, cause all we need is feet. But promote the hustle cause it keeps me thin. No need to talk, Luke you just walked in.
Is there a gun on stage?
Yes, man.
So kick the wham on this jam.
Oh, Mr. Sprinkler, Mr. Sprinkler. Wet me for one, Mr. Sprinkler. I'm heating high five and a day's no split. With a yawn, I trip to the dawn. Out comes the bodies following the one idea. It's clear. Rattle to the roll. Hold back up the track, grab your roller skates, y'all. And let's zip on by. Zippity dude, I let's zip on by. Feed on the weed and we're feeling high. Sun is on thick and the cheese is rolling thick. Come on, it's no time to hide. Season is twist, spinning and winning. No hack and sack, let me in. Spill on the bottom away, but it's okay. It's a Saturday.
Now let's all get baked like Anita.
Watch Mr. Lawn, don't look at the Peter.
Feel on the farm, I'll feel on.
How's it going? I hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to find out where that weird echo is coming from. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the House of Sewing. My name is William. And here in the House of Sewing, I come with a disclaimer. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can mute my friend over here. It's extremely hot, so I'm about to run out of this room and go do a fabric haul in the closet. I hope everyone's doing well. Happy Saturday. And before I get started, this program is for entertainment purposes only, and its content is not intended to malign any religion, lack thereof, race, gender, company, individual, or wigs. All opinions expressed by my so-called life and program participants are solely their personal views and do not reflect the views of every single human being on planet Earth. I'm going to mute myself. Oh, I almost forgot. If you're having a bad day, if you need a hug, if you need an Activia, here in the House of Sewing, we have exits on both sides. That's a izquierda and derecha. I hope everybody has a great evening. It is hot in here. I'm going to run into the other room really quick. Give me a quick second. So let me know if you could hear me. The camera is kind of messed up in here because it goes between light and dark. But I'm gonna make myself big. Perfect. Yay! Why is this thing not cooperating? Of course it's not. There we go. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I bought a pressure washer. It had a Prop 65 warning on it. What the hell's going on in California? The pressure washers are dangerous. Um, I'm not kidding you. In the state of California, we put warning labels on everything. Thank you. I was pleasantly surprised when I found out that the microphone on this computer was a little bit better than anything that I had, because I have nothing but a bunch of cheap knockoffs. As far as my backup microphones. Yay, hello. I am on location. It's still like 100 something, and it may not be 100 something outside, but in my sewing room, it's hot. So I went to the the swap meet today. It was hot. It was extremely hot. Man's in the closet making himself big. Actually, this makes me short. Because I have the camera up high. How's it going, Greg Bryan? Hello, Mona Kilroy. Great to see you. Pam, great to see you. I have a fabric lanch earlier, so clean up the pile and restacking. That's real. I have fabric lanches all the time. That's why I'm constantly cleaning. That's why I'm constantly folding. You know what's really funny? I had my other camera out. Oh, the picture's better than I think. I had my other camera out, and the camera is the problem, because every time I tried to use it, it would kick me off of StreamYards, because I wanted to show you the giant oopsie pile right here. It's embarrassing though, so I kind of don't want to show it. Yay! Hello. Great to see everybody. I have those every time I look for something. You made me feel better when I was climbing over my couch and all the stuff that's hidden in there. Your whole house is an oopsie pie. I keep it down to 2 rooms, actually. This room and the garage are my hoarding rooms. Everything else I try to keep like a museum, because, kids deserve to grow up in a functioning house. You call your D the oopsie pile. Hey, that's my, I was gonna say something, but like Kilroy always says, nothing good comes from a black, crinkly bag that's including fabric. I went to the San Fernando Valley swap meet today. I had a great time, but I wasn't there that long, because by the time it was 8:45, it was already like 90, or hitting up towards 90 degrees. So I was fabric shopping like this, like, hey, let me get some of that. Hey, let me get some of this. So it was an interesting morning. But do you know, I, like 3 or 4 years ago, I went through this really weird phase where I would buy scene prints, if that makes sense. Like, I have a bunch, and I would always use them for lining. I have a bunch of horse prints, a bunch of cow, roosters, chickens, anything you could think of. And this, that sounds like you have the world's weakest. This, oh, Greg, if you're ready for innuendo, this is roosters. And for a while, I tried to stay away from stuff like this, but I cannot stop buying print like this. stuff like this is affordable, so I go crazy when I buy stuff like this. There's that, and I got that at the swap meet. Also, I'm still on my weird debate of what's the difference between a scarf and a shawl that belongs in an Ohio farmhouse kitchen. I love that. I love weird prints like that. We get these really country prints, and I live in the city. I have some fabric that is similar to that. That's awesome. I'm on the hunt for a ton of different fabric, especially the stuff I see on the covers of certain patterns. But sometimes I feel like they're computer generated. I know I have a ton of these. And I know these are meant to be put on a table or display, but I wear these as scarves. And I'm going to ask you a question. What's the difference between, and I know I've asked this before, but what's the difference between a scarf and a shawl? Is it how you wear it? Is it the person who's wearing it? I don't know. But one day I will be able to walk past these things, but it was not today. What? You should have a set of bowling uniforms. Oh, you should make a set of bowling uniforms out of that. Join a league and call yourself the Roosters. Do you know what's funny? I guarantee you in my town there's probably a group that's called the Rooster. Awesome. Why am I not on? There we go. All right. So there's that. It's hot today. If anyone who knows, I absolutely love sewing. That room, hold on. This room is where I absolutely love to be. It's hot. It is hot here in Southern California. I also purchased this. It's so funny. In my opinion, a scarf is long and thin, but a shawl is kind of a mini blanket, so you can do different cute things with it. A scarf is a utility item to keep you warm. A shawl is why a white woman thinks she looks interesting. It reminds me of Rasputin or an Orthodox priest, or like a Catholic Orthodox priest or something like that. A scarf goes around the neck. A shawl drapes over the shoulders and under the arms. See, Pam is teaching all of us today. Because, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a shawl, but really I make a scarf. So I need to get my terms together, and I'm going to make a shawl. All right. And I blame skits on this one. It's because I watched the Rasputin video for like a year. And so now all these interesting documentaries pop up, and I'm looking at everybody's clothes. This, I know. I cannot stop buying. Hold on, let's see what this is. It has the tag on it. The pattern says Edison. The color is Electron. That sounds like a Mega Man level, but this is tweed. This is woven. This is definitely a drape material, and it is thick. As you can see, this is extremely stringy, but I love working with material like this, so I'm excited. That looks like the hotel conference room carpet. It totally does. People at my job give me a hard time when I come in wearing something like this, because I'm one of the youngest, and they're like, do you not remember? And they'll say a building in what year. Oh, right. this, okay, so keep in mind, I purchased a ton of fabric from this place, and the guy was like, I walked up and the guy's like, $15. They love me, so I go a little crazy when I go there. You're gonna look like a skyscraper walking around in that. You know what, honestly, I'm gonna say it with my sad guy face, I'm too short to look like a skyscraper. Even with my William Shatner boots on, which put me up here, I was contemplating wearing shoes, but I might not be in screen if I was wearing shoes. Even with my William Shatner shoes on, I am still 5'9". Oh, I wish I looked like a skyscraper. But isn't that true? People who are like short want to be tall. People who are tall want to be able to sit in a Porsche. I get it. I get it. This, talking about the conference room in 1985, this is purple. And yeah, this is woven as well. And this is like a deep purple. Sometimes I feel like these cameras cannot translate the color. So I'm gonna go stand in the sunlight somewhere when I make something with this. But this is extremely purple. Oh man. Similar to D's is about the width and length ratio. Oh. And you know, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't know why I bought this. I have no idea why I bought this, but I like working with this material. It's really thick, and I'm probably going to use this for lining. And again, the camera is not doing this justice because that's kind of pink. That is like really kind of pink. Oh, but I guess I'm in my conference room era. Oh, right. Might just be the cam, but that looks like a French violet rather than a deep purple. I'll take it. I like French violet. I like all of that. I like those really, I know this is harsh to, I like the coats that people wear in the UK. There's certain prints and it's kind of like a standard, but I love that look. So that's why I'm constantly replicating those coats. You're skinny enough to pull a skyscraper. Thank you. You haven't seen his gorgeous beefcake yet. Thank you, Mona. Thank you. Looks like robots. Thank you. That's kind of one of the reason why I buy stuff like this, because you know I'm obsessed with sci-fi and 90s sci-fi more than anything else. This kind of looks like a board cubish now that I'm looking at it. That's awesome, Mona. I like that. It looks like robots. I like that. Now I'm confused. Does he call the oopsie pile or the gorgeous beefcake? Both are my wrestling names. Both. So I have purchased this material before. There's this really he loves me when he sees me now, but there is this guy, he's so stoic. I walk past him and go like this. And as an animated, emotional person, people who are just like this, I'm like, hello. But there's a vendor at the swap meet that has amazing prints and amazing prices. Oh, whoops, clicked on that twice. Now, so in this room somewhere is probably something made from this. I'm looking to see if I can find it before I pull this out. But, excuse me. I've been walking past this and I noticed that the tweed that I've been purchasing is almost gone. So I'm like, I should have bought more. So I bought this because I love this print. And this is red. And I know it's going to translate as something else, but this is like red. Oh. I'm kind of torn because my first instinct is to make a code or to make something, but I'm going to give it a second because I am in my pants era. And I've made, especially in this room, let me see if the color could change, because this room is where all the magic goes to hide. Almost everything I've ever made is in this room. So I'm sure I really have to dig and find something that's made of that material. You'd hate me. I have the energy level of Andy Warhol, or maybe the opposite would attract you. You'd love having somebody very low energy around. Well, no, that's different. Like if I know you're like that, that's different, in a setting with a bunch, especially all the people. Thank you, Mona. Thank you. Like all the people who buy fabric, man, everyone's walking around with their coffee cup. They're looking for bargains. Now I can tell all the people who sew, because I see them there all the time at the same places. I call mine the state of nature because it's nasty, brutish, and short. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that. So it's no secret that I love wearing vests. Vests are something that I love sewing on. When I get a new vest, I look at it as a blank piece of canvas. I found this company that I don't know if it's real Milwaukee leather, but I order it from Amazon. And long story short, it's always buyer beware. I want to show you something. I ordered a double XL vest. And I'm actually glad that I did order a double XL because this thing is not that long. It ends right here. And anything that normally would be a double XL would look like a dress on me. So their sizing is way off. But for someone that's my size, this is perfect. So I'm excited. I'm actually really excited. I look at these vests as canvas. Oh, right. That fabric would make a lovely tie. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that idea, Kilroy. I really like that idea. And the funny thing is, I recently, well, like within the past couple of months, I purchased a black one, and it's 1X, and it's a size smaller than that. So, I always read the reviews on Amazon. I'm always like, the first thing, if I like something, I scroll all the way down to the bottom because I know that people are going to tell the truth. Because no one tells the truth more than someone who's sitting there frustrated, like, I just got this and it doesn't fit. Yeah, when the holidays come around, it won't fit anymore. Are you kidding me? I'm still wearing the holidays right now. You know what? Like, part of me, I'm going to mute myself because, do I want to work with you know what? I kind of want to make a purple coat. Who needs a woven coat in July? I do. He has to read the reviews because he's bought stuff too small. Seriously, I have to do the walk of shame on that because I have so many times I've purchased something and I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? Or like when I tried to buy a giant cutting mat, I thought I was getting a deal. It's the size of a mouse pad. It's a little bit bigger. All right. All right. So I'm going to mute myself and let's see how it is in the garage, aka sewing room. He buys first and asks questions later. It is true. That is sad, but true. Awesome. It is hot out here. And then with the fan blowing, it feels like it's just blowing hot air on me. That's the benefit of living in the middle of the desert. Today, I had to laugh because people always talk about, oh, people pay money to live here because of the weather. It's like Arizona hot here right now. Part of me was like, I'm not going to sew anything tonight. And the other part was like, really? So I'm going to clean up a little bit and see if I can get my 6-foot table. Actually, no, I think I can use my 4-foot or 5-foot. That's what's going on here. Fans stopped working because they were just recirculating 85-degree air. Yeah, I'm a natural lizard, so I'm used to the weather, but it's the older I get, the less I can take the weather, if that makes any sense. I don't think there's anywhere that's more mild than where I live, though. Even though it was hot today, it felt good to get out. It felt good to be out at the swap meet. All the smart people were there early. I finally got my McMuffin. There wasn't like 75 people in there like it was last week. I love negotiating, haggling. And it's funny, there are certain vendors when I walk up to now, they won't give me some crazy price. They're like $30, $40 because they know I'm not going to pay some insane price. It is easy to handle. Cold is brutal. I go back and forth of which one is worse, of which one I dislike more. Do you know? Oh, actually, no, that's not important. I did go to Walmart today and I bought another oopsie. I don't know why I keep on buying all this tie-dye material. I think I need to make a complete tie-dye outfit. And it's going to be mismatched hobo style because I have all these different cuts. And I need to do something about it. When I got home, I had it in the car and I'm like, well, you only bought one. But so now I'm going to guilt myself into sewing my oopsies again. I finally started getting used to AC and I feel a lot better, but now I'm not I'm not waking up 7 times a night from the heat. I like heat if I'm sick, but the rest of the time it just makes me feel faint and nauseous. Exactly. Exactly. I think that's part of the problem too. I get lethargic and tired, but I have my water in here, so I'm prepared. I am prepared. I had my phone. Do you know I like bringing back what day is it? What day is it? Because today is National Fried Chicken Day, International Kissing Day, Anniversary. Oh, there are some I skip past, can't pronounce that. Hop a Park Day. You really can't do that around here until like around this time because it's so hot. International Cherry Pit Spitting Day. I know that sounds crazy, but I actually have been in one of those contests. They're fun. There's a cherry farm on the outskirts of my town, and they have all kinds of crazy festivals. It's fun. And like I said years ago, I picked, I think it was like 7 or 8 or 9 pounds of cherries. I ate them all and I never ate a cherry again. Mm, mm. So, anyways, I'm gonna pull my table out. Today has been a crazy day of me trying to avoid the heat, of me trying to like I try not to give myself a hard time because I actually sew, but I buy a ton of fabric. How's it going, Rashawn? How's it going? How's your day going? I came on an hour early, hoping that I would get some sleep tonight because tomorrow, young Mr. Sewing has an MMA match. Or it's kind of like a party for his MMA place, but everybody has to be there at noon. So I'm gonna try to go to bed at a decent time. Craig Bryan asking the hard-hitting questions over there. World Zooness Day. Oh, that's funny. Today is 50 Cent, George Bush, Kevin Hart's birthday, and Sylvester Stallone, and Tia Mowry. Shout out to Tia Mowry. She is definitely one of us. They weirdly look like people in my family and live within driving distance of my house. Good people. Today in 1947, they started making the AK-47. In 1957, John Lennon and Paul McCartney met for the first time. In 1933, they played the first all-star baseball game at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Oh, I love facts like that. Oh, good times. Good times. Oh, it's Zion Williamson's birthday, too. People need to leave that young man alone. All right. So I'm going to pull my table out. Man, I'm going to have to turn the light on in here. It is so glorious in the house. It is so amazing in the house. Yeah, I'll start sewing. He has a dirty mind and just needs to be locked away. Oh, good times. Good times. You know, I've been talking about purple rain so much, I'm gonna make a purple coat. And the funny thing is, where I'm from, like if there are many purple motorcycles, I forgot people love the Lakers. So this is actually the land of purple motorcycles. Oh, Perfect. I'm trying to think. Today was it was a strange day because in the morning the world was alive, it was busy, and in the middle of the day, I went to Walmart and I was walking around in Walmart and it was abandoned. And some people go there just because they have really good air conditioning. But it made me laugh. But it was that hot today. Oh, oh, and because I love Chotskis, I love controversy. I'm really into UK politics, and the Labour Party took over. They completely smashed the Tories, and one of their weird schemes is they were going to send everybody who they deemed an illegal or a migrant to Rwanda. Rwanda agreed. There was this whole scheme set up. They eventually did not do it. It was a controversy. And as someone who loves traveling, I collect Chotskis. So it made me laugh when I saw this because I'm not a hater. I am not a hater. So I got this for like $1. This is definitely going to hang here in the house of Zoe. But I have a ton of stuff from around the world in this room. Most of it, my grandparents actually went there and got. Oh, today in 1747, John Paul Jones was born. In 1907, Frida Kahlo was born. In 1946, George W. Bush and Sylvester Stallone were born. And in 1975, 50 Cent was born. And in 1979, Kevin Hart was born. Oh, Kevin Hart's not much older than me. Cries in the corner. Oh, nope, you would just break out like MacGyver eventually. That's why you always have to carry a Swiss Army knife. Oh. So, for anyone who, well, this question is for everybody. Do you guys experience traffic? Is there traffic where you live, or is it like harmony? Like I've been to Montana. They don't have traffic. Depends on where you are. It depends on where you are. I know. But like, I won't say which highway because it'll be doxing someone. But like, I was on the road. There was nobody on the road. And I've lived quite a few places, and I constantly see things like, oh, in Texas we have traffic. I recently went to Vegas and I was shocked at how much traffic there was. I have tractors. Does that count? Yes. Are you kidding me? Where I live, when a tractor gets on the road, if they don't pull over to the side and let cars pass, people are honking at them. It's mayhem here. Absolutely, tractors count. Sometimes I have to drive like 20 miles an hour for a mile or so. Ugh, it's the same here. There used to be no traffic where I live. Now when I go in town, there's traffic, and they're putting in a new gas station. So the town's traffic is just going to get worse. That's horrible. I've kind of, I have patience, and I do realize that where I live is not necessarily a good place to gauge because I constantly talk about the numbers. So there's a ton of people. I need to stand up for this one. There's a ton of people where I live, and I get it. Let me switch my camera. You know what's really funny? I plugged in that other camera inside with the AC and everything on. Oh. And it's still shorted out. So I truly think it's the camera, it's not the computer or the heat. I've never been stopped on a road here. The 101 is a shit show. You know what's really funny though? Like where I live, pulling people over is big business. Do you know how much money they make? I think people are shocked when I say this. In the state of California, at least in Southern California, where I live, tickets start around 1,400. And they do that to break you. It's a controversy, it's a thing, but tickets are expensive here. They are not playing. And it's done on purpose to deter people, but really what happens is somebody will become in debt to the state, or they'll owe thousands of dollars, or they'll have to go to traffic school forever. It's a endless rodeo. All right, I think I can do this. It is crazy how much fabric and for the price that I get it for. But again, they get this stuff wholesale. Oh man. Oh man. But the traffic means the town is recovering from 2008 and 2020, so I'm okay with it most of the time. You're right. You're right. And there is a weird tourism attraction near my house, so I guess it is a good thing. I guess it is a good thing. It is all perspective. It depends on how you look at it. Oh. It's just weird because my town was still one of those weird, small, sleepy towns, and now there is traffic everywhere. And I'm driving, and I'm like, oh, and it's so cliche because everyone will say, oh, we've turned into Van Nuys, we've turned into Sherman Oaks, but like, there's just always been traffic here. So I heard someone say an extremely yuppie line today, and I was like, well, there's just always been people here. But I always wonder about that because I've been quite a few places. I've traveled, but that's different from living somewhere. Is there traffic everywhere? Because I was actually quite shocked when I went to Vegas, and it felt like I was in the middle of downtown. But Vegas is in the middle of a giant boom right now. A giant boom. Where's the giant dinosaur? Is that LA or Palm Springs? That is Palm Springs. The second you said that, I got the tequila song stuck in my head. The second you said that, the famous Pee Wee Herman dinosaur is off the 10 heading towards Arizona. That's how, matter of fact, when you reach the dinosaur, that's like one of the last stops of towns. Because once you start going out in the middle of nowhere towards the Coachella Valley, there's nothing out there but like national parks and the Arizona border. Here in PA, speeding tickets are like $35 plus $2 for every mile in excess of 5 miles an hour over the limit. The most expensive one, if you're going more than 10 over in a school zone, then it's $500. I wish. Isn't Palm Springs uber expensive? Yes. Palm Springs is a millionaire's playground. It's one of those weird places where you go and you're like, how do they get water here? And they also have the world's biggest statue of Marilyn Monroe in Palm Springs. They're actually trying to save that statue right now. It's a sign of the times. They're probably going to get rid of the statue. And, all the people who have lived there for a while are trying to save the statue. I follow a couple of people on Instagram that live in Palm Springs. I remember that from being a kid. They've painted it quite a few times. Last time I saw it was pink. It's been orange. It's been turquoise. It's been a bunch of different colors. Now I just have the Pee Wee Herman song stuck in my head. Oh, perfect. Palm Springs is going to be screwed when the Salton Sea dries up. It's going to be overrun with toxic alkaline dust. You know what's so funny? Palm Springs is where the uber millionaires go to play and live. It's kind of a hidden gem because as you're driving towards Arizona, there is a ton of thrift stores, a ton of discount outlets, like anything you can think of. We have a giant statue of Jesus that looks like he's made of butter. The Marilyn Monroe statue is actually quite impressive when you walk up on it because it's humongous. It is absolutely humongous. That totally reminded me of something that I saw today. Before I start getting to sewing, let me see. Oh, okay. So I constantly talk about where I live. I see Teslas everywhere. And it's the weirdest thing to me. And my son is always like, oh, there are cyber trucks all over our town. And I'm like, dude, I've seen one, Today I saw quite a few. It trips me out. I didn't get that great. Let me see if there's no. Okay, good. There's no identifying markers. But I want everybody. Would you own a Cybertruck? Would you drive one? Would you, if somebody gave you one, would you drive one? Or would you buy one? And yes, I live in the desert. Yes, I live in the desert. But if you had the chance to, would you drive a Cybertruck? We also have one that looks like he's made of chocolate. No idea why the food theme. It's probably really deep and really artsy, and you're making light of it. Only statues around here are a couple of kids. One of them is on the side of a river. The other one is on the other side. They look like they're waving to each other. Don't know why they put them up. I love weird statues like that. You're like, what is this doing here? Indiana people want to eat Jesus. So, would you drive a Cybertruck? When I got a side view of the thing, it looks like a USB stick. And as somebody who actually drives trucks, I don't know what practical use you would have of something like this. And I constantly say this, like, I am not a hater. If my friend pulled up and was like, let's go for a ride, I would hop in that thing. I would be like, let's go. But they just look, they're odd. They're just odd to me. I agree with Rashawn, though. Okay, I have a question, though. I had an ex-girlfriend who had a pink Beetle with the flower pot holder in the front. I used to drive it, and I get out the car, and would you drive a pink Beetle? And some dude in Kentucky built an actual size replica of Noah's Ark. Oh, yeah. That's crazy guy, Ken Ham. That is a Cybertruck SUV. That thing was humongous. Only cars I would be Only cars I wouldn't want to be is those smart cars. I saw another big person in a tiny car. I don't want to be that. I would sell it and buy a real truck. Oh, excuse me. The rest of the statue things are war memorials. Sometimes they have those human figures on them, but most of the time it's just huge stones with columns and lots of engraving on it. Chris Farley style. We have a lot of statues like that as well. Kilroy in a weird way. In my town, they filmed a ton of silent films. So we have this really weird walk of fame with a bunch of names that people have never heard of. I grew up in this town. I remember back when that side of town was kind of abandoned. That's where the Buffalo Reserve is and everything. I can only name one of the famous silent film stars. But their statues and their plaques are everywhere here. And for some reason here in PA, we have a thing where we put up old deactivated artillery pieces from World War II or before, old war memorials. They do that in the UK too. Not like they do that from every era. Like you'll get a cannon from the Battle of Hastings or something. My first car was a pink Honda Accent. It was super cheap. I drove to Florida from Indiana and spent $40 on gas and food. See, Greg Bryant and I are in the same boat. If it's a car, it's a car. I'm like that. If it has wheels, I'm not a hater. I'm not necessarily a hater in that sense. But would you drive a Tesla Cybertruck or whatever it's called? I see them everywhere in my town now. And it's because my son pointed out, but I see them everywhere. I don't know if I could drive something that looks like a giant toaster. Well, you're bragging on how much you spend. While you're bragging on how much you spend, which year was it? Oh, in 1999. I wouldn't drive a Tesla because they perform poorly in a crash. I've never stepped foot in one. But that was still stupid cheap. I actually have access to one, and I still have it. And people actually make fun of me for that. That thing got like 52 miles to the gallon on the highway. I had a friend back in the day that had a Geo Metro. Man, that's nothing to wag your finger at. Those were amazing cars. It looked like a giant bubble helmet, but it was an amazing, amazing car. All right, I want to switch my angle back so I could start panning everything. Man, it is hot. I might go back in the house and just go sit in the chair and start talking because it is hot in here. And I'm sure the temperature has gone down. Alexa, let me turn this on. Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 88 degrees Fahrenheit.
It is 88 degrees at 7:50 at night. Yeah, it's still hot. Oh, I loved how the Pontiac Aztec looked. You know, there was a I don't know who made it, but I always wanted an Amigo. Has anyone ever heard of that car? I can't remember who made it. It just comes with a roll cage and a canvas back. I always wanted one of those. But I never found one in my travels or when I used to buy cars and stuff like that. I never found one. I wanted one so bad. I might look to see if I can find one on. I went like 15,000 miles between an oil change, and that thing still ran like a champ. I miss cars like that. I absolutely miss cars like that. That reminds me, on Tuesday, I'm getting the window fixed in my car. So how did the holiday treat everybody? How's everybody doing? Is everybody still standing? My son, you know it's so funny. As a parent, you call your child and you're like, my son, he's my ex-wife absolutely loves the 4th of July. That is her holiday. Hey, I don't see there's anything wrong with it. People who love the 4th of July, that's America's birthday. I'm here for it. So every year my son goes, oh, that's insane. I go every 3 or 4 max. My son was telling me, and as a parent, your child tells you something and they're like, yeah, this and this happened. And I'm like sitting there like, really? But apparently my son witnessed a 4th of July brawl with like 20 or 30 people. And you know what's funny? Do you know what happened on my block? It was little kids walking around with sparklers. My neighbor set his yard on fire and it was raining all day. I'm surprised more of that doesn't go on around here. The 4th is a redneck Christmas. Well, she is from I'm not saying this as a bad remark. It's just where she's from. My ex-wife is from Ohio. And if you're listening, I'm just telling the truth. I had a solid weekend only to tweak my ankle, doing absolutely nothing. If it makes you feel any better, ever since my car accident, when I walk, my ankle randomly gives out. It's the strangest thing. I'll be walking and I'll dip down. I'm like, oh, just give me a minute. Give me a minute. It'll come back. It's the craziest thing. But my son, when I was talking to him, Ohio is wonderful. She must be. Screenshot. I'm screenshotting that. My whole point is, like, it's her holiday, and so every year my son, and it was her grandmother's birthday. She was literally born on the 4th of July, and she was a real life Rosie the Riveter. She put wings on P-57 Lightnings during World War II in Ohio. So I miss Lucy. She was an amazing person, and she taught me how to play euchre too. I won't hear otherwise. Her people from Ohio are amazing. Like, quite honestly, her mother, who just recently passed, was one of the greatest cooks I've ever known in my entire life. I'm not even saying that to cash up. She was the best cook, and she knew how to make like real down home food. So people like that just don't exist anymore, and I miss her already. When my son would come home with plates, I would be like, who made that plate? Hey, who made that plate? Oh, I'm not joking. We spend way more money on the 4th than Christmas by a long shot. Oh, the only thing I did on the 4th is watch a video of a Soviet orchestra performing a symphony by a Soviet composer. Needless to say, no fireworks. My neighbors are still setting off fireworks. I'm surprised there's fireworks not going off right now. It actually makes me kind of twitchy because it's really quiet in my neighborhood. And then it boom, boom. And I'm just like, because my neighborhood is actually really peaceful. Euchre is just a test to see how well you and your spouse can cheat. Do you know what's so funny? It was part of like family game night. We should have had like winks and stuff, but we didn't have winks or anything. Euchre, I only got to play that with one group of coworkers. I don't know any black people that know what it is. Have a great night, Mona. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great night. Thank you so much. I am embarking yet on another overambitious project because I'm gonna go full pockets with this. I'm I really like this material, and I have a ton of it. Yay. I hate fireworks. I'm like on the fence. I used to love them, but I don't like them when they're setting them off 4 or 5 days later. Especially because in my neighborhood, they must be giving mortars away. Because there are just it's beautiful. I can see it on my camera, but it also lights up my street because they're going off low. So it's non-professional setting off fireworks. Have a great night, Mona. Thank you so much for stopping by. For the deep Midwest culture, have you ever played asshole? I don't think I have. I don't know what that sounds like. So, oh. When I was growing up, the only drinking game was euchre. As the night went on, the number of beer pitchers drank went up, and people bet more and play worse. That led to fights. One of the worst games that I ever came around in my life was, and this was in the 90s, this was on the original PlayStation, it was FIFA Soccer. Me and my friends, I have never seen so many fist fights over a video game. We had to stop playing FIFA Soccer because so many people got in fights over it. So anytime I see a commercial, still to this day, for FIFA Soccer, it reminds me of a bunch of disgruntled kids in the 90s, from the 90s. All good times. Good times. There are people setting mortars outside right now. Neither have I. Oh, it's a drinking game. Neither have I. That's really interesting. I've heard some firecrackers in the distance today. That's it. I'm hoping it'll die down because really I heard way less fireworks this year because fireworks are expensive. So, because normally the fireworks are going off for weeks at a time. In the heart of LA, it's different. You can park on a hill. Like if you go, Mulholland Drive is real. If you go up Mulholland Drive, it's like right off of Vineland. It leads into Hollywood, but there's this weird perch where you can see all of LA on a clear day. You can see all the way to the ocean. But like on the 4th of July, when there's holidays, if you're sitting on that hill, the entire city just erupts with fireworks. It's the craziest thing on earth. I get so pissed off at a video game once. I tried to run away. I tried to run away on a hardwood floor and wound up slipping and breaking my ankle. I'm telling you, when I was a kid, we fought over FIFA Soccer. It's like Uno, first one to run out of cars is the president and then vice president. Oh, okay. Absolutely. You know what though? Like, I have a brother a brother who's almost, yikes, 20 something years older than me. I have another one that's 17. I'm the youngest of many people, and there's a big age gap between me and my brothers and sisters. My brother, who is 17 years older than me, we almost got in a fight over Tekken. That's how much people get into video games. The president gets to make the rule. If anyone violates it, they have to drink. I threw the controller at the TV plenty of times too, but it was the tube's TV. So instead of breaking the TV, I break the controller. Do you know what's so funny? I owned a Wii, and still to this day, I pride myself that I never threw the controller. I almost threw my shoulder a couple times playing bowling, but I never threw the controller. And I still watch bloopers of like those old school videos when people would throw their Wii through they throw their Wii controllers through the TV, and everyone just stands there like, what do we do now? Nothing. Your TV is broken. You do nothing. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. My rule is you have to pick up the invisible Martian off the glass before you take a drink, and you have to drink again. I had a weed too. Never threw the controller either. I always thought that was the strangest thing when people would hook the controller. All right, that's gonna be a close cut on the neck, but it's perfect. Let me get my ruler out. I was truly thinking about how long I want this. I'm gonna make this a little bit longer. I've been making some really epic coats, so we're gonna see how long I make. I once took a controller to the head over Soul Calor, but I deserved it. I'm telling you. That was such a good game. I am telling you. And my brother is quite literally 17 years older than me, and he reverted back to being a kid. Oh. It's kind of like sports. How's that gonna look though? Sorry, I'm doing logistics in my head. I made a weird cut here. And the top is an important piece because that's where you present your look, So I'm making sure that it's uniform. Oh, perfect. Beautiful. They come with wrist straps, and a big warning to use a wrist strap. If you accidentally throw a weak controller through your TV, you can't follow directions, and you deserve it. Oh, that is true. That is extremely true. Sorry, I needed some water big time. I might go back and hide in the house for a minute because it is holy cow. Sorry, I'm looking at my YouTube studio. Quite a few people have watched my last short. I finally finished my tweed suit, and I forgot about that. And all I did was make pants, but it kind of made me laugh. When I put this suit on, I was like, oh, I like this. I like this. My roommate wasn't really that good. I played talkie, and just to annoy him, I would hold down a button and press nothing with a fast button attack. He didn't know how to counter it. He lost 110 straight matches. Then he threw the controller at me. In Tekken, I would play Liu Long, and I would do that kick. And I did that kick so much that I almost got banned. Awesome. No, I was looking, my thing pinged. And it's so funny. They always send you these, YouTube leaves me alone, but all of a sudden when I'm live streaming, they send me messages. It's the strangest thing. Perfect. Do you know, I absolutely love making friends with the vendors at anywhere, but particularly at the swap meet. When I turn the corner, they're like, oh yeah. Especially these tweed guys, because I don't give them a hard time. I've noticed people they negotiate, they nickel and dime them down. I'm like, hey man, how much is this? I negotiate with everybody else except for these guys because I feel sorry for them. We don't need to hear about what your thing does. Early fighting games had no balance. Absolutely. Speaking of, that brings me right back to what I was talking about. So I called my son, and I'm a nosy parent, which you should be this day and age. And I call him and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, "Do you want to hear a story?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do. Yes, actually I do want to hear a story." And like I said, he witnessed this huge brawl. People that he knew ran in. It was just this huge melee, and I'm sitting there like, interesting. But he didn't get involved. He watched from the front porch. But you have to let your kids experience things like that, even if I wasn't there. Not like I would have stood there as well, but it just kind of made me laugh. He had a way more exciting 4th of July than I did. Oh, could perfect anyone if you got them in the air. I miss those days. Oh, let me turn my dryer off real quick. Every time it turns on, the lights dim, and I just see money. Now I just have more Stay in the Time stuck in my head. All right. Oh, this is going to be perfect. Let me get my ruler out. Although this is purple, this is also a really, really tight tweed. And I know I'm in my tweed era, but I love how this looks. Perfect. Okay. We'll see how long this coat is. Perfect. All right, so this is the moment of truth when we see how long this thing is. Oh, that's perfect. This is like Dick Tracy long. I think that's one of the reasons I'm so obsessed with trench coats. When I was a kid, I used to watch. Keep in mind, I was, raised by people from a different time, but I was obsessed with Dick Tracy, Doctor Who, Sherlock Holmes. So I love a good trench coat. Tight Tweed is an awesome rapper named Patent Pending. You'd have to be somewhere where it's nice and cold though to wear tweed all the time. My trench coat obsession came from Humphrey Bogart. Do you know what's really funny? Casablanca is my favorite movie. It's one of those movies though where like I quote the movie. You would not want to sit in the same room with me watching that movie. I love that movie to the point that when I lived in Portland was so artsy fartsy. I miss that place because it had a culture. It was like a food truck, hacky sack culture, but I loved the old school Portland culture. But I saw Casablanca in the movie theaters. And, for someone like me who was nowhere near born when that movie came out, it was an experience. I also got to see The Big Lebowski, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Well, I saw Lebowski when it came out, but I've seen that movie 100 times. But like Rocky Horror Picture Show, a bunch of black and whites. I miss that. I miss that Portland scene, but that whole scene doesn't exist anymore. All right, I'm going to take the pins out of this right now. Have you ever lived somewhere where it had like a really artsy fartsy scene and it doesn't anymore? Because even like when Kilroy looked up the tattoo shop and all the tattoo shops were gone, I was kind of like, oh, that's sad. Because that was kind of LA culture where all those tattoo shops, and it's gone. The movie didn't add up to a hill of beans for me. What? I love Casablanca. It's a movie about a bunch of people trying to flee Europe. And Casablanca was the last launching point before they would make it to freedom. And all the stories are nuanced from the beginning, from the first scene when the guy gets pickpocketed, when the guy's like, "Oh, be safe in Casablanca," and he picks his pocket. It is such a good movie. I also hate Titanic. I know this is gonna sound crazy. I've never sat in a theater and well, okay, when it came out, I didn't see Titanic. It wasn't my thing. And throughout the years, I have avoided watching it. I've seen bits and pieces like on HBO and stuff over the years, but I've never sat down and completely watched the movie. I know that's weird. We had a really vibrant community theater thing in my whole region. Then COVID killed it. You could see like 3 different productions every week if you were willing to drive. That's awesome. I miss stuff like that. Like, that's another thing. Portland had Shakespeare in the Park. I would sit there and be like, finally getting some culture. I miss that. If Nightmare Baby is around, there was actually one crazy Shakespeare in the park that I witnessed. One of the craziest, where some guy interrupted and it was insane. It was insane. That was in 2012 when I went back to Portland. I'm convinced that women have a fetish for hot guys banging them and dying so that they can get attention to be sad. It's very Shakespearean, Greg. Come on. It's very Shakespearean, you know? I miss that. We really don't have anything like that because we have theater houses everywhere here. So we really don't have people in the park like that. I'm sure I could look it up, but it's much more about like private theater houses here. I miss that. I'm gonna start going to shows again. This year was the year I finally got out of the house after 4 years of being agoraphobe or the hermit sewing. And it wasn't like I was avoiding people. I just went to work. And like I would go certain places, but I didn't leave the state. I didn't like, and I'm an adventurer, and I'm finally getting back to that. Which reminds me, when I fix my car, where should I go on an adventure? I was thinking San Diego, but I don't know. I think my problem is I watched YouTube too much and all these places like if you watch a video, you're like, oh, I don't want to go to LA. I don't want to go to San Diego, but they're still beautiful places. I don't know. I might go back to Vegas. Where should I go? Keep in mind, I've done everything north. Palm Springs is just as far as Las Vegas because it takes longer to get to Arizona. And it's different because Las Vegas is kind of on the border, so to speak. It's like a half an hour off the border. Like Phoenix is well into Arizona. So you're driving for a while in the middle of the desert. Where should I go on my next vacation? Shakespeare is a good writer. The movies are why women born. Even the writer of Casablanca said it was cornier than the state of Kansas. I love that movie. Greg, I love Casablanca. You know what? I already have lining for this. I was like, what am I going to line this with? I already have lining. All right. I'm going to cut this piece to even it out. And then I'm going to start on the other side. Normally, I have my assistant here to help me fold this. So I'm kind of folding as I go. Right. Perfect. Tweed is it's such a weird material to work with. And it's hilarious because people use it for everything except for what I'm using it for. And I know people make a lot of tweed clothes in general, but it makes me laugh how tweed is used for drapes and on carpet and all kinds of crazy things. Go to some random place in LA and see what kind of trouble you can get into. No way. I know what kind of trouble I can get into around here. LA is no joke. And I live on the west side, and so like it's a different planet compared to the east side. but and I'm not even saying this to be funny, but aren't most cities like that? Like the west side is like, you know, I read an article about that a long time ago. So West Los Angeles is no different than any other place. Oh. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to pin this, and then I'm going to have to measure it out. Because I want it to be the exact same length as the top piece. This is going to be epic because it's going to be really long. Oh, man. So the parachute go to TJ. I convinced the ultimate white woman fantasy is to cheat with a hot guy and have him. I've seen that movie. Dangerous entertaining when you have a spot in a lifeboat reserved. I'm telling you, I know it sounds strange. People look at me crazy when I tell them I've never watched Titanic all the way through. I've seen the ending, and I've never seen Game of Thrones. People look at me like, where are you from? So the parachute go to TJ. I'm telling you, there is a place in TJ that will let you jump out of a plane with anything. And I'm literally quoting the guy because I called. Because I would always, when I came years ago, I would jokingly say, like, I'm going to make my own parachute. I'm going to make my own parachute. So I called this place that I knew in Tijuana because I know it's illegal in America to jump out of a plane with your own parachute. I know that. Don't even have to look it up. But in TJ, this guy was like, bring it. I had a friend in high school who never left the state of Indiana, and I took him with me on a vacation to TJ. Hilarity ensued. TJ's crazy. At least here in the U.S., the eastern half of the cities tends to be more screwed up, and the western half, air currents push the pollution eastward. So people with more money move to the west part. That was part of the that was like part of the documentary that I watched. I've seen that movie, bro. That is Casablanca. I want to jump out. I want to jump out of a plane with a generator and a microwave and make a TV dinner. Oh, because I constantly talk about skydiving. Skydiving videos are all up in my feed. And I've been watching videos of people doing air walking. But really, they're just walking as they're falling. But it looks, and then they'll like walk in a circle. It looks awesome. But it's, it's professional skydivers. In a weird way. Oh, I know somebody in a very strange way. I know someone that is a professional skydiver. They've been in the Super Bowl. They've been in commercials. It takes a different breed of person to do that. This person, like, you talk to them and you'd be like, yep, you're a skydiver, because they're not all there. It takes a different type of person to be a professional skydiver. There are no laws in most states. A man died in Arizona in a homemade rock. Was that in Arizona where he tried to prove the earth was flat and the poor guy, he perished in his own rocket? Was that in Arizona? I wouldn't be surprised. You're afraid of kangaroos, but want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. I told you, everybody needs a rational fear, and I have a real fear of kangaroos. I've also never seen one in the wild. I've seen them all over the place because there's one in every zoo in America. Literally. And so that's different, but I've never seen one face to face. I'm not scared to jump out of a plane. And Skits is sitting there laughing at all of us with his like million jumps he did. And also a long time ago, I was on a plane from Burbank to Arizona. When I lived in Arizona, I was on a plane and it dropped 1,000 feet. Everybody on the plane was like, oh, the whole time we were dropping, I was like, this is awesome. It's all perspective. It's all perspective. Maybe New Mexico. I say you go to San Clemente. I've been to New Mexico. I've actually been in New Mexico a couple of times. It reminds me of Arizona and California. The Southwest, from the bottom half of California all the way basically to Louisiana, all looks the same. It does. It's just brush and desert. I say you go to San Clemente and spend a week there, but only because it reminds me of Roberto Clemente. I have a Roberto Clemente shirt. I would probably be a hit if I wore that there. Also, poor guy, he builds his own rocket and it killed him. Skill issue. I feel so sorry for that guy. If it's who I think it is, because he was making a documentary. And like, there's one thing about having conviction, but there's another being so married to an archaic idea that you have to prove it. Like, there's all kinds of things that you can prove without building a rocket. Oh, poor guy. Poor guy. I feel sorry for people like that because somewhere along the line, someone failed him. He didn't have any truthful people in his life. That's why you never want to be surrounded by yes men and women, because eventually you're going to make a bad idea and someone's going to have to tell you to stop. Or like, hey man, we shouldn't go down this street. Even here in LA, when I was younger, I was on Melrose and I thought, oh, it's Melrose, it's a safe place. I pulled off on this one street and I'll never forget, these young kids started throwing rocks at my car. And it's all because I pulled on their street. But the real joke was on them. I had a a 1983 VW Rabbit, and that thing was solid steel. That thing, people talk trash about cars. I loved my VW Rabbit. Oh, right. I drove to Vegas once. Once you get past the Rockies, it all looks the same. Thank you. It kind of does. Like, that's why there's some really cool tourist places in between, because it does all look the same. That's why when people are like, oh, Californians are, oh, this or that, like all of our states kind of look the same. especially the Southwest. At least put a computer in the rocket and not yourself. I don't understand that. I do not understand that. He tried to prove that the Earth was flat and just ended up proving that the people at NASA were indeed smarter than him. Absolutely. As someone who is my father worked for NASA, like there's no slouches. No slouches allowed to work at NASA. They know their math. Oh, that's hilarious. I remember that guy. Poor guy. Now I have a Rocket Man stuck in my head. There was actually another guy who tried to prove that the Earth was flat, and I was watching the video, and I was like, I was looking, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? They were at a lake by my house. Do not let me catch you making a documentary about how the Earth is flat. I will drive by and be like, how come everything else is round when you look out with a telescope? And I would drive by again and be like, you guys are crazy. Oh, it made me laugh when I saw that because they were in my hometown. So there's crazy people everywhere. The Challenger Deep has been twice as deep as the Titanic. I don't feel bad for the Ocean Gate people. Be better at math. If you had the opportunity, though, would you go down in a sub? If you had the opportunity to go explore, I would only go if I was in the Navy. And I was in a what people call a nuki poo in the Navy. But I always find it interesting because I'm an explorer. I'll make a right down a street out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if I would be in a tiny capsule in the ocean like that. I grew up near an amusement park, and because they have thrill rides, it's what made me a thrill seeker. That's what made me get fast cars, just go fast on bikes, anything I could. I don't know if I could explore the ocean like that. If I was on a boat on top of the ocean, hey, I'll have at it. But could any of you go into something? Would you, given the opportunity, go down in something like the Seagate, or whatever it was called? Seagate, wasn't that a show? Oh, that was Sequest. That's right, that was Sequest. Craig would go down in anything big enough to fit a woman. I'd go down in the U.S. Navy. Thank you. Not a rent. See, Kilroy and I think along the same lines. I'll go down with a fully trained crew. Not wrong. A nuclear sub or the Challenger Deep, sure. For a day tops, though. My pops used to tell me about stories about when he was in the Navy. They would go out to sea and they wouldn't come back for 7 or 8 months. So I wouldn't mind a day. 7 or 8 months out in the ocean, I would go crazy. All right. So I'm going to cut this down the middle. Oof. Okay, I'm gonna have to start on this side and use my ruler. This is gonna be a live on YouTube cut. All right. We're gonna find out if my jacket is gonna be uneven or not. Perfect. All right, let's fold this over and see how crazy that cut was. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I actually caught it in the middle. Perfect. I'm going to have to even this out. I cut the top kind of odd. And when you're lining up clothes, they kind of all have to be at the same angle as far as the front and the back go. So I'm going to cut this down just a little bit. Because my angles need to be a little bit more sharp. Perfect. That's something imploded that literally controlled with an Xbox controller. I'm still not over it. When I heard that, I jumped across the room. I remember I was like, who on this green earth would go down with a if you showed me an Xbox controller, let's be real. If you were presenting yourself as a businessman or woman and you were like, I have this submarine, you're gonna go see the Titanic, I'd be like, cool, but you're gonna watch it on a TV from Walmart and an Xbox controller. I would laugh at said person. I just noticed that Smith & Wesson shirt. I've had this shirt for a while. Most of our subs are off grid for months at a time, months with no contact or servicing. I have a friend who was stationed on a nuke. It's rough, but your security clearance is worth a fortune when you get out. Kilroy, I have a crazy collection of t-shirts, a crazy collection. But they're like these shirts, if you buy certain things, they give you clothes. So I got this a while ago, a long time ago. And I'm the king of like, oh, you're going to give me a free t-shirt? Can I have a free t-shirt, please? Every construction crew that has come through the ranch, I'm like, put a t-shirt in the contract. I have a bunch of Glock and Smith & Wesson t-shirts, a bunch of them. Okay. It's kind of like the tractor. When we got the Kubota tractor, they gave us a bunch of clothes, and I'll never forget, everybody was like, this is the most expensive hat I've ever got in my life. I wonder if I call Kubota, will they give me? I'm like, hey, my hat's getting ratty. Will you give me a new hat? Oh, much better. That's much better. I'm going to take a quick break before I make the arms. Oh, excuse me. Let me switch my angle. Do you know what's so funny? After all these years, I'm still hitting the wrong button. That kind of makes me angry about my camera, but that's life. Like, it makes me laugh how StreamYard keeps on telling me that my webcam is incompatible. You would love the Army. Literally every single event, they make a t-shirt for the... I come from a military family, and I was told by every single person, "Hey, you better not join the military," because I'm really horrible at taking instructions. Ham radio companies will send you a free Hatter sticker with the radio brand if you buy one of their $15,000 top of the line radios. Now that's an expensive piece of merch. Absolutely. There is a specific college that my sister went to a very bougie Catholic college. And every time you would pay the tuition, they'd send you a polo t-shirt. And my dad would always be like, don't touch my $40,000 t-shirt. Because if you think about it, in the end, if you did the math, that's really what they were. They were expensive. Because they get you, they're like, oh, you just paid tuition for college. Here's a polo. You just spent 40 grand. Or here, let's soften that blow with a polo shirt. It was a super bougie Catholic college. Super bougie Catholic college. It's still there. It's actually really beautiful. Their campus overlooks the ocean. It's unreal. Their cafeteria, it was amazing. Of course, my sister went there, but I liked visiting because it was so beautiful. But it's one of those. I think it's like you go there more for the title. Because there's certain schools where someone be like, hi, nice to meet you. And they'll be like, hi, I went to Yale. You'd be like, bro, I just said hi to you. But yeah, I still have all of them. I don't know what to do with them. I'll give them to my son. He'll wear them. But yeah, they're the most expensive polos ever. Are there ghetto Catholic? Not one that I've ever heard of, Greg. That is such a very, very good point. I've only visited the ones on the West Coast. I've never been to Notre Dame. I've never, so I can't say. Oh, that's hilarious. But let's be real. The Catholic Church has an unreal amount of money. So every single one of their universities or anyone who is directly connected, because if you are a Catholic school, you're directly connected with the Vatican, they hook them up. They absolutely hook them up. That's everyone but the bougie ones. The only Catholic part of most colleges is the extreme heavy drinking. That is a very good point. That's a very good point. Most colleges just to teach you your tolerance. I don't think there's anything wrong with kids having fun. Like there's an old school saying, and I've been hearing it more lately. But there's a time and a place for everything, and it's called college. I heard that a bunch when I used to watch Arrested Development over and over, but it's true. Notre Dame is public now. It's not Catholic anymore. Private Catholic schools are flush with money. Wow. See, I didn't know that because I'm so out of the loop. I quit going, and this is I'm a non-religious person, but I'm not angry about it. So this is not an indictment on anybody, but I stopped going to church 20 something years ago when I was confirmed. Because if you don't get confirmation as a young child, they give it to you right before you turn 18. And so, I stopped going. You totally made me think of, there's a high school by my house. It's a Catholic high school. Their kids, when they walk out on the field, they look like professional football players. Their cleats, everything is uniform. Everything's Nike. Everything is sponsored. The public schools, depending on how good you are, depends on how much funding there is. It's much different here. A lot of atheists are like, oh my God, it's a Catholic college, it's bad. And I'm like, hey, the only Catholic part of that place is the booze hastily hidden in every dorm room. It's a normal school. Absolutely. You're right. It's because I grew up hardcore Catholic, like many old schoolers. So it's the experience that you cringe at. It's not even the institution anymore. Well, the institution too, but it's the experience. But you're very, very true. College is college. That's how I found out. One of the dominant languages in Africa was French. I was such a sheltered person. I had no idea. I had no idea. But I started meeting a lot of people that spoke French, and I'm like, where are you from again? And they were all from Africa. Protestant colleges are wild. They're in super small towns. I have one in the town I live in. Do they party hard and have a good time and like steal the mascot from the next school over? Or are you serious? That is the plot to Footloose. I've got this feeling this town is holding me down. That is literally the plot to Footloose. The girls are notoriously freaks. Yeah, repression does that. France is still sending bills to African countries because said countries took loans from France decades ago. France never left. They never left. Short of like Egypt, most of those countries speak French. I was so shocked when I started meeting people from around the world and like French, like America, English is like the maritime language. So if you're in the Navy or if you're on any kind of vessel, you have to learn to speak English. I had a friend from Hamburg, Germany. I was so shocked how he came to America and could speak perfect English because in German schools they teach English. But when I started meeting a lot of people from Africa, I was shocked how a lot of people from Africa were French. This is when I was a kid. I was like 12 or 13 when I found this out. In 2020. That's crazy. USC is in the middle of one of the biggest hoods in Los Angeles, and they party hard over there. So I couldn't imagine people having those kind of rules around here. I think it's crazy that that the French are still sending bills to those African countries that they never left. All those African countries that you see on TV, they speak English, not broken English either. You could have a conversation with them and understand 100% because the English used to be there, absolutely. But that's more Southern, that's more like people in the South. But I agree with you. I'm subscribed to a bunch of African news. I'm subscribed to news around the world, but I'm subscribed to quite a few Africa. Because Africa is a continent, but I'm subscribed to quite a few news stations, and it's amazing how immaculate their English is. It makes me embarrassed as someone who speaks solid a couple of languages. It makes me embarrassed for my fellow Americans who can only speak one or two languages. There's a major divide between the Franco-African countries and the Anglophile countries. Oh, absolutely. England had the ships to get to the South. France didn't, so they had to settle for a quick cruise across the Mediterranean. It was weird because I know a lot of people from the Congo, quite a few, and they were all Catholic too. And I'm still friends with them, but it was, it's not strange that they were Catholic, but I know quite a few people from there, and they all speak French. And now I have Footloose stuck in my head. Thank you, Greg Bryant. I'm just picturing this repressed town. French and English hate each other for no matter the country or the skin color. It's so true. It is so true. There was one time when when I was younger, I used to hang out in Hollywood, and I was part of this group. We'd hang out at a Starbucks, and I'll never forget. I was talking about the Falkland Islands War, and I literally just said Falkland Islands, and some guy came by, and he's like, "We kicked their arse," and and everybody was like, "We were talking, man." He just walked by, cheered, and walked right past us. Passion, absolute passion. But I feel like I don't think I'm just checking this because I'm shocked I still have a signal in there. I moved the booster in there and the signal was messing around for a while. I knew a girl who did a semester in Sweden. She said she hated it because genetically perfect women would correct her English. You know what? I get that a lot in Spanish. I get that a lot. I will say something wrong and people correct me on point right then and there. It's because it was my second language. People are quick to correct me in Spanish. And also, I don't speak it as much as I used to. When I was younger, I lived in a world where my bilingual skills were used. And so I was submerged in a world where I spoke Spanish. There were people that lived near me. When I lived in Portland, there was a group of us where we'd all take the bus because we all lived on the outskirts of Portland. I spoke Spanish every day with everybody. Now in California, I know it sounds strange, but like most people I'm around speak English. And most people I'm around are Hispanic. It's just crazy. Everybody speaks English here. But English is their second language. Oh, people give me a hard time. People give me a hard time for my Spanish. They do. But it depends. It also depends. Like, I learned to speak Spanish from people who are from Mexico. So if I'm talking to someone from El Salvador, they'll be like, "What did you just say? What did you just say?" Or I know quite a few people that speak Castilian. It's a different language. Portuguese, completely different language. I know more Italian than I do Castilian or anything Portuguese. She also didn't even speak Swedish, and it wasn't an issue. That's cool. I like that. I like that. I like hearing that you can go somewhere and it's not an issue. Like my friend who lived in Hamburg, Germany, everybody in everybody spoke English back then. I'm talking about, gosh, 27 years ago. I just yelled pinche a lot. Greg, if you did that here, people would look at you. They would ask you if you're ill. People where I'm from, if you run around screaming, people are like, "Are you okay? Are you ill? Are you ill?" would be literally the second question they would ask you. Oh, that's hilarious. You have to be careful though. You have to be careful. I had a really good friend who taught me every curse word in Vietnamese, and that has done nothing but cause drama. I do not repeat the words that she taught me because I learned how disrespectful they were. There was one time I was walking out of a sushi place and I kind of said it, assuming nobody spoke Vietnamese, and I can't even repeat what I said. And this one guy was like, "Do not ever come back here again." So you have to be careful when you learn things in different languages. That's the most common word in Mexican Spanish. It's true, though. It is. It is. Sweden, like other European countries, teach English in their schools essentially starting from the beginning. So they don't really have a first language. They're legit bilingual from birth. I'm still impressed with my friend from Hamburg who was like that. It's amazing to me because I acquired a second language because I heard people speaking it around me and I was like, I'll pick it up. And I got good advice. But also, they didn't teach it to us as children, though, is what I'm trying to say. You know, when my friend showed up, I was like, "How do you speak perfect English and you've never been to America before?" Germany is exactly the same. And the funny thing is, we're the exact same age. I drive a tractor, and my friend Max is a brain surgeon. That is the difference between the American school system and the German school system. Oh, I'm choking and laughing at the same time saying that. He is a literal brain surgeon. Oh, good times. Still friends with him. Oh, he's the one who, like, back when we had tapes, but he was like, listen to this German rap. And I remember just bobbing my head because I had no idea what they were saying. I remember being like, I bet if I spoke German, this was really cool. But to him, it was like the greatest thing on earth. But, I wasn't from there. Germany is a cartoon language, and I would be looking for a reason to speak anything else. English is the language of business. European countries aren't big enough to just trade domestically, so they have to learn English. Otherwise, they'd be dead in the water. That's so true. That is so, so true. Ask him how to say raven in German. It will crack you up. Alexa, how do you say raven in German?
Raven in German is Rabe.
That sounds kind of dirty. Alexa, please say raven in German?
Raven in German is Rabe.
Faber? That was one language I tried to learn, and my German is terrible. Absolute terrible. Alexa, how do you say crow in German?
Crow in German is Krähe.
See, that sounds exotic too. Clea sounds like a name. But don't make it look the same. Oh, good times. I have to turn my my A word up because sometimes I feel like I have an inner ear issue, or like I'm just hard of hearing. Maybe it's because I went to a lot of concerts as a kid without earplugs. But I feel like I have a hearing issue, so I have to turn my Alexa all the way up. Oh man. I'm really surprised on how quiet it is in my neighborhood. Last night, man, the fireworks were going off. I really think the cops cracked down this year. I truly, because they have nothing else better to do. Truly, with as many people as they have, I think they finally cracked down because I'm not hearing fireworks like all day and all night. It's the strangest thing to me. Because normally this time of year, this side of town is just pop, 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 pop. That's all you hear. And it's eerily quiet right now. I will say on the 4th, though, my neighbors, like, and when I say neighbors, I mean people for miles around, put on a show, an absolute show. Like, I love it when people pay money to go see fireworks or go sit somewhere or go like reserve a seat. Where I live, you literally just have to walk outside and look in a direction where there's open sky. I have a hearing issue too. I have Ozzy Van Halen, Madonna, and 12 gauge shotgun to blame for that. Same. And like where I live, they really didn't enforce, like, I work a lot with chainsaws. They really didn't enforce chainsaw earmuffs up until about 15 years ago. Okay, Alexa is using a different word for some. Okay, So, Greg, this happens all the time. As somebody who is an absolute closet linguist, this happens all the time. If you watch if you watch subtitles, they're not saying that. It's just they're surmising what the person is saying. So they're giving you the cliff notes of what that person is saying. Especially when I'm watching anything in Spanish, I have to turn off the subtitles because 90% of the time they're ballparking it. 90% of the time. So I run into this all the time, Greg, all the time. It's actually a pet peeve of mine because I watch a lot of foreign movies. It's different if I don't speak the language, subtitles, because I have no idea what anyone is saying. I watch a lot of Korean movies. I watch a lot of German movies. I watch a ton of French movies. Subtitles on for everything. But if it's in Spanish, I turn the subtitles off because that's not what they're saying. And I think that's more of a lost in translation problem because this was pre-internet. How do you say raven in German? Oh. My phone. I don't know why my phone is bugging out. Okay. Awesome. I hope everybody's having a good Saturday night. I'm just kind of chilling out, relaxing tonight. I'm working on a purple tweed coat. I'm probably not going to finish it tonight, but I'm having a good time just sitting here and waffling. And that's what this is about. That's what my channel is about. It's not about tension. It's not about fighting people. It's not about phenotypes. It's about having a good time. I can't even say out loud what I just saw, Greg. And it's pronounced like what you think it is. That's terrible. But again, imagine it, like there are certain words that we say in English that make people laugh because they mean something completely different. Like, perfect example. In Swahili, Kili means warrior. It means all kinds of things. In England, a Kili is a type of flower. So in one place it means warrior, and in the other place it literally means a flower. It all depends on where your feet are. On the where your feet are on the ground. And that's the beautiful thing about language, that we're not all uniform. I know this is cliche to say, but how boring would the world be if we were literally all the same? I'm sorry. I am one of those people. I'm gonna sing the Pepsi Generation song in a minute, but it's true. I need to make the arms on this, but I'm enjoying my break too much. Do you know when it's this hot, I spend most of the day hiding from the heat because I work more in night hours. But tonight, I definitely have to go to bed at a decent time because young Mr. Sewing has an MMA event tomorrow. I'm going to show up with a cooler. Oh, that should. With a bunch of water. I missed that stream, but I went back and watched it. Don't let people who want to get you riled up. I agree with you. My problem is I grew up in an integrated society, so I do not I clash with anyone who's a nationalist of a lot of different things. All that reminds me of Kiehl's. Kiehl's is it was a moisturized company. Oh, but thank you, Greg. Thank you for being the voice of reason, because it's true. Oh. You know what it is too? It's because I've been to these places and they're not what you think they are. A lot of people like to categorize and say certain things, or This place is terrible. Have you been there? Have you ever been there in your life? Because there's, like I said, I know, I get pushback when I say this, but there's parts of Nigeria that look like Manhattan. Cameroon looks like Manhattan, it just depends on where you are, And now that it's just us hanging out, there's nothing wrong with having privilege. It's how you use that privilege. To quote my grandfather, there is nothing wrong with being okay. He was just doing that for effect. He was very amused with himself. He wasn't arguing in good faith. I had class with nationalists and sectarian. Thank you. It's a pathetic waste of time. You know what? And that's the thing. I broke my own rule. I'm not a debater because I'm emotional. I broke my own rule, is what it is. Your grandpa was a cool. Oh, my grandpa was. No, my grandpa was a cool, but he was old school. He would just walk out and say something. He'd be like, "Oh, we need to write that down. We need to write that down." And he always had suspenders with a pair of slacks and a white shirt. So imagine, like, he was old school, very 1940s, 1950s. Like, he was old school. I think yellow caught some undeserved strays. Hey man, don't jump into a fight. Don't jump into a fight. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna sing the Pepsi song in a minute. But the truth is, like, and this is my internet rule for anyone who needs to hear it. Like, I say what I have to say and then I move on with my life. In my own real world, I don't have any of these conflicts at all in any way, shape, or form. So when the computer goes off, the drama goes with it, And I think that's a healthy way to look at things. I'm not sitting around worrying about anybody except for the people that I have to take care of. That, and so I leave problems. I leave things like that on the internet because it's seriously not that serious. That's what I said. Trying to break up a fight is a good way to end up in a fight. That's a rule around here too. That's it. Even yesterday, my son, when he saw an actual real brawl on the 4th of July, he's like, "I'm gonna stand back here," because he's smart. You gotta get the feel of a place. Some places look like crap, but are great to be at. Some places really look cool, but you want to leave in 3 seconds. That's like Jamaica. A lot of people go to Jamaica. They're like, "Oh, it's the greatest place ever." It's because you stayed on a multi-billion-dollar resort. And you can't get the feel of a place from a photo or a story. You actually got to go there. Do you know what's so funny? I ended up moving to Portland because I drove by it one time and it looked so beautiful to me. Years later, I moved there. And the funny thing is, it was nothing like what I expected. But again, it was a great place, but like anywhere else, it had its detractors. Like anywhere else. But I moved there because I drove by. I was driving to Tacoma, Washington, and I drove by Portland. And like, there's this part on the 5 freeway where you turn this corner and you're over the Willamette River, and you see the northern part of the city, because the city's split on different sides of the river. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful, I get it, Greg. You know what? Honestly, I have no hard feelings. This is the internet, man. This is the internet. I'm going to bring my wear a helmet. I'm going to bring my wear a helmet phrase back. Wear a helmet and a flap jacket. This is the internet. Everywhere has people who thinks it's awesome and people who thinks it's crap. Absolutely. My city is a perfect example. In every way, people talk trash about my city. People who move here, people who get drummed out, and their points of view are valid. They are. But it's different when you're actually from a place than when you're not from a place, you know? Because people have all kinds of things to say about Los Angeles, but I'm biased because I'm from here. So when I hear things, I'm like, it's not like that. It's not like that, but it is over there, but not over here, you know? So it's always environmental. I don't feel any way about it. It's a honky the whole panel. Was wild to me. But it just goes to show that, like, I say this all the time. It's still weird to me that how on the internet we finally have the ability to communicate with each other, to show each other what we do, and we end up fighting each other because of our differences. I would rather celebrate somebody because of their differences than stand around and wonder why they're different, because I know why they're different. Keep your hands inside the internet at all times. Do not stand up until the internet is in the station and has come to a complete stop. But that's why I love people like Mona and Pam. Mona doesn't have drama. I love Mona. I watch Mona's live streams at my job. Like, Mona's not up there fighting people. I love channels like that. That's why I love the sewing community, because they don't have drama. Oh, good times. Good times. That's why I constantly come with my disclaimer of, like, you know, this is what it is. Because I feel like sometimes we get so emotionally invested in things, and you do get your feelings hurt. Okay. Oh. All right, so I'm gonna line this up. I'm gonna cut the excess pieces off because I'm gonna need all of this for lining and pockets. And I try to keep my scrap pieces as uniform as possible. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, good. I'm just here to make dick jokes and menace the chat. You know, it's so funny. When I first got online, I always tell people, like, I'm just here to sew and have a good time. I'm not here for drama. I'm not here to fight you. You know, there's a Notorious B.I.G. song, just, I'm here to party and BS. That's literally like the only drama I have is the drama that I need a doctor for real. No drama zone here for real. You know, and Kilroy knows I came from the atheist community. Man, they were nothing but drama. That's why I come with a disclaimer. That's why I say come as you are, no matter who you are, no matter what you are. Just don't be so malicious to somebody else that they're looking for you. I truly, maybe I am an idealist. Maybe I am, and I'm okay with it. It's okay to not hate people. I do think it was funny that you, Enrico, made me defend Trump, and we were all still chill about it. But that stream was the stream where people got upset. Do you know what though? I could defend a position I don't necessarily agree with. You know, that's different. We were having I'm not emotionally invested in politics, so I'm not going to get all bug-eyed and spitting on my microphone over it. It's different than when you call someone out on who and what they are. That's a little bit different. I do think it was funny that, okay. And that's the problem. And that's part of the problem, though, that one of the reasons I stay away from that whole debate me bro stuff is because it will always come down to something personal. It will always come down to, you hurt my feelings, so now I'm going to go for the jugular. And I'm too old for that. I literally got up this morning and went to the swap meet. I was standing in McDonald's at 7:45, and this morning I was like, oh man, I'm old. I'm sitting there with my coffee cup and I'm like, I have officially become that person. I believe in what I was taught from when you get your GED commercial. Terry Crews did it for public radio. There's good drama, there's bad drama, and there's necessary drama, and then there's drama you can skip. For sure, Gilroy. I like that. Yeah, for sure. But that's normally what people get upset over, either or against Trump. That's why I stay away from politics. I live in I live in an extremely red area. Like I stay away from politics. And the funny thing is, people are cordial with each other in person and polite because there's very different views here. I'm looking at my camera like you can see, but in my town there's very different views, and people they just kind of don't talk about politics or religion around here. Just me, I get plenty of hate from the rednecks for dunking in a red on redneck Jesus. And also, I'm not like everybody else. I'm not a stereotype. I didn't grow up near the home office. I don't sound like other people. So it is an affront to people, especially to gatekeepers. It's an affront. And I understand. I am not like everybody else, and I refuse to be. And that does throw people off. My social media is officially in blowing up over the election mode. It's crazy. Do you know what's really funny? Let's check. Instead of telling stories, I haven't gone on Facebook in months. But actually, I can tell you since my birthday. I'll post on my birthday because like all these people will say happy birthday, and I appreciate it. Year after year, they continue to do it. I absolutely appreciate it, but I really haven't gone on in months and months. I use my real name on the internet. I'm online who I am in real life. I say that about how I am like this. Like the person you see here is the same person you would meet in real life. Oh man. Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 81 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, the temperature went down. No, I don't want. Oh. All of the electronics in here are going haywire. My electronics are not impressed by by the heat in this room. They are going absolutely haywire. Apple has this weird warning on their devices when it gets too hot. It shuts down and it has a thermometer that says, "Hey, crazy person, why are you anywhere this hot?" So one of my phones just shut down. I'm on antidepressants. You won't believe how much that pisses me off. Lots of people just want to say that their group and hiss like a cat at anybody who's even 1,000% different. Well, I'm scared of people who grow up around people who everyone looks like them. Then they meet me and I'm like, how's it going, bro? What's up, dude? I don't have any social media accounts. That's probably why I'm so calm online. It's really funny, and we've talked about this. I've really tuned down my how I really talk, because where I'm from, it's surfer talk. It is valley speak where I'm from, But being online, I've had to not necessarily change the way I speak, but it's jarring to some people when they hear my real voice. Anti-suppress. You know what? For that one, I will. For that one, I will collect. Anti-suppress. Oh, anti-separatists, not antidepressants. Kilroy is 1,000% correct. I should be wearing my glasses. You can tell as the evening goes on, my skills go like this. I should have been wearing these from the jump, but it's all vanity. I wear them when I'm driving. I wear them when I'm at work, but any other time, my glasses are off. Oh, all right. Let me finish this arm. You know, I'm always like, I'm only gonna go for an hour. It's 2:20. We're 2 hour and 20 minutes in. I take a while to warm up to people, but that's just because I'm extremely aloof. I'm extremely open. Like I'll meet people, but like I do not have an agenda, and I think that scares people sometimes because I'm just there to have a good time. You know, I truly do not have an agenda. You know, should I line this coat with something exotic? I have all this material in here, and I always line everything with something like that's black or navy blue. But I think I might add something extremely exotic on this one. Oh. I accept people as they are. I really don't care. Life is absurd, and we are on one big space rock away from it all being over for real. I say that all the time. That's why I give my son the "it's not that serious" speech. And I tell him all the time, fuzzy liners. You know what the funny thing is? I actually have a couple yards. I was thinking about that. That would be weird. I recently saw before the do it for Bray. Anything that's itchy though. Like I have itchy issues. That's why I line everything. I line it with material that I'm not allergic to. So even if like people are like, man, you wear all this tweed, I line it with something that like whatever is touching my skin, I'm not allergic to. And it's just better that way. Before this, I watch all kinds of crazy stuff on YouTube. I am into everything. I love all kinds of genres. I want to learn from people who are polar opposite from me. I watch everything. I was before the stream, I was watching people who had on extremely large fuzzy hats. And my first thought was, I could make one of those. Nobody in my head pays rent, so I evict them all. Absolutely. I kind of have that attitude too. My thing is I say what I have to say and then I move on, you know. The purple one does not approve. I wear clothes for comfort as well. So if I make something, I don't want it to be itchy on the inside. When I start getting fashion designer money, I'll start making all that really weird Rick Owens stuff. But until then, oh, that's funny. But what do you I was thinking about, I don't know. I was thinking about making a giant fuzzy hat. It looked easy to make. I'm one of those people when I see something, I'm like, oh, I can make that. And then I sit down logistically and I'm like, okay, let's do this. They were very Jamiroquai-esque, very large, huge, but they were like Mad Hatter meets Jamiroquai, but they were fuzzy. And I still have a ton of furry material, I have a ton of fuzzy material. I have an oopsie that I always jokingly say it looks like a bath mat, but it reminds me of my red bath mat. And I have red mats in my kitchen. I have this weird thing about red carpets. And I have red mats all over my kitchen. So I might make a hat out of it. I don't know. I say that every time, and then I work with furry material, and it destroys sewing machine. Recently, someone told me I should open up my own sewing line. But I would be catering to a very specific group of people. The people in my Discord were comparing algos today. I think they are concerned about me. My algorithm is all. Oh, you couldn't peg me with my algorithm. And I know I just said peg live on YouTube. You could not say, oh, he's this one way or the other. I'm into all kinds of winter sports. I watch stuff in different languages. I watch fashion stuff ad nauseum. I watch sports in languages I don't speak. You go through machines like Marlboros. It's because I sew every day. It's this weird thing. I absolutely love sewing. And even pre-pandemic, I was blowing out sewing machines. But ever since the panty, like, I destroy sewing machines. It's because I'm sewing all the time. And domestic sewing machines are nowhere near the grade of a industrial in any way, shape, or form. The internet during Kruger is real. I watched a few, and I'm pretty sure I could make my own guitar now. Do you know what's so funny? You would say that during the panty, I collected all of the materials to make a cigar box banjo, but I never made it. I still have a ton of cigar boxes. I have the strings and everything. The problem is I own 2 real banjos. So by the time the panty was over, like, I just was really good at playing my banjos. I'm about to replug my house using YouTube University. That's real, Kilroy. No, that's real. I have learned so much on YouTube. I talk about this all the time. Above my head, I have a LiftMaster for my garage, and their entire manual is on YouTube. I sat here one day and figured out the entire inner workings of my garage door just watching their video. Well, I guess plumbing would be YouTube Votag. I am all about how-tos. You know, I said this the other day. I love watching how-tos. There's a how-to about. I had to watch a how-to of how to change the tractor, the newer one we have. Because everybody was like, "Oh man, what are we gonna do?" and this and that, and I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna watch YouTube, and it's gonna teach us how to change the oil and properly take care of this thing." My uncle was Army humor, memes, love line highlights, and a video on how to make TNT. Plumbing is very easy if it's not copper. Just dirty, so nobody wants to do it. That's why plumbers where I live make hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a, Greg, I know you're gonna jump, but where I live, trades are in really dire straits right now, and they're paying people to go to school. I wish they paid me. I went to trade school. I wish they paid me. But plumbing right now, they're dangling almost $150,000 over people's heads right now. And the truth is, because there's not that many plumbers, that's why they're making all this money. It's not because you're going to make that much money a year. It's because around here, we really don't have that many plumbers. My rhythm has been cruise tips for the past 2 months. It's ridiculous. I never wanted to take a cruise. Never been on the cruise, but YouTube wants me to take a cruise. Kilroy, that exact same thing. I watched one video because a bunch of people from my town were on the original COVID ship, the original COVID cruise ship, the first one that was trapped overseas somewhere. And I watched that video, and I had cruise videos for months. Oh, same thing happened to me. Oh, trades all make 6 figures. Man, it's huge here. It is huge here. And so that's why shrubs like me can sit here and talk trash online, because I went to trade school. Even where I live, $20 an hour is minimum wage now. Inflation is a killer. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's certain things though that if you watch, they get caught in your algorithm. I'm a Star Trek fan, so like I'm okay with Star Trek videos, but there's certain things I watch and I'm like, I do not need 7,000 videos about this one person. Especially, I love Leonard Nimoy. Anytime I'll watch an original series clip on YouTube, all of a sudden they want to give me the complete biography, everything to know about him that I already know. It's different if I didn't know half of these things. I own all of his 1950s movies he was in. There was a DVD I bought a while ago. It was people who are from it was Star Trek before Star Trek, and a lot of the actors were in a lot of westerns, and I'm obsessed with old school spaghetti westerns. Even Harbor Freight pays 15 an hour around here now. And the shitty slumlord companies who think it's still 2010 wonder why they can't find people. So true. So true. Transparent try-ons have entered the chat. Oh, that destroyed my algorithm. I talk about this all the time. In a really naive way, I didn't discover YouTube until I was in my late 30s. And so there's a lot of things I didn't know existed. And so I'll click on something and then it rules my time. Every time Greg sends me a video, I worry how much it'll throw off my algorithm. Oh, same. You know what? Recently, I actually have a bone to pick with you, Rashad. Recently, Caitlin Clark bombed my algorithm because I do watch a lot of sports. I watch WNBA. I watch there's an Olympic 3-on-3 league. I was actually watching their qualifiers today online. I was watching Spain versus Egypt. It was interesting to me because it was half court. I loved it. Algorithm feels like when a woman finds out one thing she knew about you was wrong and questions everything. It's always a bad choice. Absolutely. Oh. I read a story today. A man became very distant and swore his wife was cheating on him. Nope. He legit had a brain tumor and thought and that was causing the odd behavior. Oh, wow. They took it out and he was fine. Wow. Caitlin is all over my algorithm. She dominates mine. I know more about the WNBA this year than I knew about their inaugural season. The TBI rabbit hole is a deep and wild. I don't even watch. I love sports. I will watch, like, I'm weird. For years, I've watched Australian rules football. I couldn't tell you what the rules are. I watch rugby whenever it's on TV. I still don't know the rules. I love like many people, I have all those off ESPN channels. So I'll watch, man. I'm telling you, I know people make fun of me for this, but during the pandemic, I fell in love with curling. I watch curling now. And with the Olympics coming, I've watched every qualifier of everything I can get my hands on because I want to know who's going to be in the Olympics this year. Brazilian indoor pole vaulting has more views than most professional American sports. Greg, does the chat begin with "Welcome, distinguished gentlemen"? Whenever I see that, I know I need to go to bed. I'm actually really stoked for the Olympics. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm really into track and field. I love watching basketball. I love watching all the odd sports, so I'm ready. I am ready. I used to love sports. Something changed at 40. Never understood why I suddenly quit Karen. I would watch anything too. NASCAR, rugby. I know this is gonna shock people. I love NASCAR. That's it. That's it. Hold on, let me cam up. Officially kicked out of the club. I'm sending myself out sewing, out. I go to NASCAR events. I have a scanner where I listen to the pit crews. I love NASCAR. But again, I grew up with people that love NASCAR, so I watched it. Absolutely. Gentlemen of culture, we meet again. When I see that, Greg, I'm like, oh, time to go to bed. Time to go to bed. Oh, that whenever I see that, I'm like, all right, this is a sign from the algorithm letting me know that I have done too much internet for the day. Oh my gosh, that water is amazing. I know that these fake Stanley Cups are lined with a ton of lead, but they really keep the ice cold. You've been alive long enough for the world to give you real problems. Grown men throwing a ball around is silly. You know what's really funny, Greg? You're quoting a hero of mine. His name's Bobby Hemmett, and it's true. He was a nationalist, but he would always say that. And the funny thing is, people like my father was not into sports at all. They were supportive. Like if I was into something, they would support me, but they were not. My parents were not into sports. My mom watches football, but my grandfather was a football coach back in the day, and so my mom grew up obsessed with football. But I really didn't grow up like it's weird the things that you fall into, like sewing. There are people who like know me but really don't know me, and they find my YouTube channel and they're like, I didn't know you had that side about yourself. I will say though that we should have, like, hobbies are important. Everybody should have a hobby, even if it's trolling people on the internet. Hobbies are extremely important. Okay. Let me put my cam back. I'm going to finish this up because we're coming on 2:30. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to go that long. I'm not going to be streaming that long this evening. And here I am, 2 hours later. Perfect. Do you know the other day I had to laugh? Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. Without being online, I made pants in like 45 minutes less. I actually took a break in the middle of making pants. It took me longer to set up the table in my kitchen than to make the pants. It made me laugh. That's how I was able to make a YouTube short so fast, because I was like, oh, the pants are done. Oh, good times. Good times. I wish I had time to learn sewing. It's such a useful skill. It is, and I honestly I'm making money off of it too. That's if the capitalist inside of me is like, but does it make money? I have this weird thing. I can't remember what they said on Doctor Who, but give me one quick second. There was an episode where the doctor saved this young lady and she ended up living forever. And she took the long way around. Like, she wasn't a time traveler. She lived through every decade of everything. And when the doctor caught up with her midway, um, she said something that stuck with me forever. It's like skill is questionable. To master anything, it only takes a certain amount of hours. So there's a fine line between an apprentice and a master. The real difference is experience. That's the real difference between an apprentice and the master, is just a repetition of doing it over and over and over a million times. And that's the thing with sewing. Like when I make the pants, I'm cutting my shapes like this because I've done it so many times. Here I don't do anything half-arsed. Everything I do, I'm trying to be the best at it. I like that. I like that. Oh, she forgot her own name. Oh. So the phrase half-assed, is it better to do something full-assed or no? When I was a kid, I remember saying, my aunt would always say that. That was like her thing. She would always look at me like, don't be, and she was from Boston. So she had that Boston accent, and she'd always be like, don't be half-arsed, or however they say it, you know? And I remember asking that same question. Like, what is full cheeks? What is going in full cheeks? That line is a set. Oh, I've always wondered about that. And a lot of it is like the military. Procedure, do it the same every time, all the time. That's what gets people. Lots of people just aren't built for procedure. I agree. Or the repetition of doing something over and over and over and over, you know, because people always tell me like, oh, I like that shirt or something. Or the people who are like, oh, that looks easy. And I always tell them, go try it. I'm full half-assed from the moment I wake up. That reminds me of my aunt. That was like her yell at you thing. Like that was her. She'd come at you crazy too. Like I actually worked for her. Child labor laws were different back then. That was my first job. She worked at a high school in an ASB store. And I was like 11 or 12. And that was my first job. Man, I come from one of those families where they're like, no, kids, you got to get a job. If you're old enough to push a lawnmower, go get a job. That is a good point, Rashawn. It's gonna be 3 a.m. I'm gonna be contemplating that. Oh, I'm way too nerdy. Greg, man, I used to go to Star Trek conventions until the last con I went to in Vegas, of course, because they had the greatest ones. But the last one I went to, my final straw is when they tried to sell me a Wrath of Khan jacket for $700. And I was like, you know what? I could go home and make one and then sell it to them for $700. There are no child labor laws for family. Now you sound like my pops. Oh, that was my pops. He was like, if you're tall enough, that's how. But let's be real. Like a lot of people complain about stuff, the things that happened to them as a kid. My father taught me life skills. He taught me real masonry, like real. Like I passed with certs off of stuff I learned from my father, you know. He taught me how to be an electrician, which did not keep. But, you know, there are certain skills that I had that I took with me my entire life. So I appreciate like that fountain. I built that fountain in my backyard. I built that. Master of the house. Dueling out the charm, ready with a handshake and an open palm. I was always tired as a kid, so I don't remember 95% of my childhood. My dad worked me like a Sherpa, so I remember all of it. And you know, honestly, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Like I got like real life skills. I was working for money since 12. I was working for family since it's good. I could hold a tool. Absolutely. Absolutely. I liked taking things apart. My pops was like, "Oh, really? There's all kinds of things I need help with." So I learned from a very young age how to fix things too. And I also passed that to my son as well. I take pride that when my son has a problem, he walks out here and he goes to my rollaway and he looks for a screwdriver. And then he'll come back, he'll look for another screwdriver. Like I am so proud when he does that because he's solving his own problems, you know. He has the literal tools to do it. And that was like the old, you know, not the only thing, but that's the like the things that I passed down to my son. Like if you have a problem and you can fix it, fix it. And I'm talking about physically. My Chinese friend was working in his family restaurant when he was 8. There's the owner from the donut shop up the street from my house. She's from Cambodia. I've known her my whole life. She's about 14, 15 years older than me. I remember her when I was a little kid. She is now the owner of said shop. And we constantly joke about the 1980s and the 90s and the different hairstyles. But she's worked in that shop my entire life. But does he oil them and put them back? Sometimes. I just watched a man on Twitter fail to mail a board to his face. I'm not mad about my child. Killer, I get what you're saying now. Yes, he does. And I gave him his own set of tools. Because I had my own tools and then I inherited 9 rollaways. So I was like, "Oh, kid, you're about to get some top of the line tools that people spend their whole life trying to get these tools. You're about to get them for free." I just want okay, that was actually really funny. I need to do one of those. I use 2 cans of hairspray 80s style sometimes. Oh, those are so much fun, Gilroy. Those are so much fun. My someone that recently passed away that I absolutely loved, she never let go of her 80s rock star hair. She always looked like she was in a Poison video. I absolutely love that generation. I love that look. It made me laugh. She never let go of that 80s look, and it was amazing. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that two cans of hairspray look at all. But again, I'm biased towards that era because I remember that era. People walking around looking like the flock of seagulls, shoulder pads as far as the eye can see, shag carpeting, Alf. I remember all of that. So I think I'm biased because of my memories. And you know, we as human beings, we look back with nostalgia. It was not the happy days back then, but I painted as it was, but it really wasn't. But I remember all the good times. Oh, now I have good times stuck in my head. I'm shocked that my so-called closet held this strong this long. Everybody wearing eyeliner. Oh, that was the 80s. I'm telling you. And I remember one Halloween where my brother and all of his friends dressed up like the Lost Boys. To completely age myself. The late 90s were peak humanity. See, but Greg, you and I are almost the same age. So I agree with you. But I think sometimes we say that because we were there. Because I know someone that says like 1983 was peak humanity, or like, oh gosh, I'm the young, like in my department at my job, I'm the youngest person. And so I constantly hear how the 80s were the greatest era of all time. But I'm the youngest. and in my 40s, what I remember of the 80s is different from people who are in their 50s and 60s right now. Nostalgia is a huge liar. You only remember the highlights. You don't remember the crappy parts. Well, chemically speaking, our brains do suppress out bad memories, but that's true. I, you know, I constantly look back at like all these shows I used to watch in high school. Why was I watching them? Because I was bored. But I was obsessed with sci-fi also. But I also didn't have anything to do, so I was watching those shows. Bill Bill Clinton's last State of the Union was just him going up and saying everything is effing great. Okay, as somebody who's an ex-political junkie, though, the one skill Bill Clinton had is Bill Clinton was an orator. And so he would go out there and utterly and completely mesmerize you because he would talk in circles and just pure minutia, but he knew his stuff. That is one thing. Bill Clinton knew his stuff. If you go back and watch his speech, I think it was during Barack Obama's second presidency, he gave a 45-minute speech at the DNC and left people speechless because everybody forgot he knew what he was talking about. I obsessively go back and watch old speeches of stuff I can stomach, and every once in a while he'll pop up because he was actually quite an orator. But he was famous for that, Greg. Like, he was famous for painting rosy pictures. But it's different when you're just giving like a civics lesson. Excuse me. I agree with you. So things were much different back then, and the arguments were different, and you were able to be detached because it wasn't so life altering. It was a much different time back then. But again, we look back with nostalgia. To quote my grandfather again, like I used to love watching the Happy Days. I would watch it everywhere I was. My grandfather would walk in the room and he would be like, dude, the 1950s were not like the Happy Days. Because he experienced a whole different world in the 1950s compared to other people. So I think it just depends on what era you're from. And also he was from the World War II generation, so he was from a whole different way of life. I've heard a lot of his speeches. I'm a politics mega nerd from way back. He spent his first 7 State of the Unions talking about problems. His last one ran out of things to complain about. Reagan was kind of the same way. He was running up a bunch of debt, but he had the way of speaking that made you feel like things are going to be okay because this is America and we beat the commies. You know, it's so true. It's so true because, again, when I look back and think of Reagan, I think of all the rah-rah stuff, Talking Heads, or what was that one show? I can't remember where they had the puppets. But, like, if you look at now, he, wasn't one of the greatest presidents ever. Was one of the worst. Oh. But, again, they're an orator, so you're like, wow, you're singing I'm proud to be an American. You're running around as it's the exact opposite. Oh, and now I have because I'm proud to be. When I was young, I have a very good friend who was obsessed with that song, and we would sing it all the time. And he tags me on Facebook every once in a while to remind me of how nerdy we were as kids. Reagan was a good speaker, but the economy was crap and his politics were bad for most people. Exactly. For everybody, the long term, everybody. But Okay, let me switch. There we go. I'm actually impressed on how well the how the computer held up in the middle bedroom. I can actually that microphone's better than half of the stuff that I've bought over the years. Let me switch my angle. There we go. Clinton had good policies and could expand and it could explain them. He was wrong about the Fed, but nobody wins them all. Oh man. Do you know there are 2 raccoons on my roof, and it sounds like 2 people are up there walking. And every once in a while, it startles me. Every once in a while, it utterly and completely startles me. But there's 2 fairly well-fed raccoons on my roof, and where I'm from, I can legally do nothing but look at them and feed them. For the record, the only 4 politicians in human history I actually like were Augustus, Washington, Jackson, and Churchill. Oh, what a group! What a group! The rest can kick rocks. Ah, yes, squirrels sound like raccoons, and raccoons sound like people. It's driving me crazy because I had a tarp on my patio. They tore up my tarp. They have done nothing but damage. Like they're crazy. Raccoons are just insane. And around here, because they fight, they have no natural predators. Because actually the only thing that stands up to the raccoons around here are the skunks. But no one likes skunks. Even skunks are walking around looking in the mirror. I wonder why no one likes me. There was one. I have a weird cut under the fence. It's a drainage cut under one of my fences that leads to the front yard. A skunk was so huge it got caught under. It depouched. My trash can and fence smelled like a skunk for a good month. A good month. And it screamed too. So, you know what's really funny? When I lived out in the country, like when I lived in Oregon out in the country, nature minded its own business. But when I live in the suburban setting here, it's a real clash between nature and overdevelopment. And where I live, they cannot stop building houses. I don't know who can afford to live in half of these. They up the hill from my house, they have built houses that are big enough to park 40-foot RVs in. So when you drive by, all the houses look like old school firehouse. Like they look like what you would picture something a fire truck would come out of. So they have these like huge houses with 2-story garages. And a friend of mine was like, seriously, who is buying these houses? They're huge. They're like 10-bedroom houses. Imagine a garage that has an upstairs and a downstairs. I didn't believe it at first. I went driving and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is real." But I don't know, there's just a ton of overdevelopment in my area. It's unreal. And people can barely afford to live in my neighborhood. There's for sale signs all the time. And unfortunately, people are selling out to these companies that are buying houses in bulk. And so now most of my neighbors are renting instead of owning, because people don't own anything anymore. It's sad. It is sad to witness. So I guess in retrospect, I'll take the raccoons dancing on the roof. I'm going to go put some Billy Ocean out for them now that I know the difference between the oceans. Oh. Well, I think I saw, I conquered. I stomped on the couch enough this evening. To anyone who watches this in the future, I absolutely appreciate you. A lot of people watch my live streams on the replay. You guys are amazing. I absolutely appreciate you. To anyone who wasn't here this evening, you're missed. To anyone who catches this in the future, hello. I'll be back at it on Monday. Woo. I don't know how that happened. I'll be back at it on Monday for sure. I'm gonna take my time with this coat. I'm definitely gonna take my time because I love how this tweed feels. You know, I absolutely love how this tweed feels. But I want to thank everybody who made it through the stream. Just remember to always be yourself. Because you're gonna have someone looking like Mark Henry hating on you. Nothing but love. I'll be back at it on Monday. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Happy Saturday, Sunday, wherever you are. I absolutely thank you. And like I always say, reinforce your seams, be yourself, and I will definitely see you next time. Bye.